I'm Julie Selby with Sandy Social Marketing Training. Welcome to part 3 of my beginner guide to Instagram's Edits app. If you haven't watched part 1 and part 2 yet, you might want to go back and watch those earlier videos in this series. Part 1, I give you a tour of the Edits app so you can see if the features would be useful for your small business. And in part 2, it's my very favorite feature of this app is recording content in the app that you can then download to your phone and edit in any program you like and share it on any social media channel you like. But in this video, part 3, I'm going to show you how to use the actual editing function of the Instagram Edits app. Let's dive into showing you how to use it. Let's open up the Edits app. And you can see here it's placed me right on the Projects tab, but if you don't see this tab immediately, you can click on the little squares in the very middle of the navigation in the bottom, and that takes you to Projects. Of course, you can film content right in the camera built into the Edits app. If you have not seen part 2 of this beginner guide, I would encourage you to go back and watch that. I show you that in detail. In this case, we're going to simply pull media from our photo roll on our phone that we've already taken. So we're going to start a new project by clicking the plus sign in the bottom. From here, I'm going to tap my finger on any media that I want to select. Matter of fact, I'm going to go into my collections here, into my sample media. So I'm going to select a video, a few pictures, another video, another picture. Okay, so I've selected a few pieces of media, and I'm going to click Add in the top right-hand corner. Okay, so it's going to immediately open up a project, and you can see it's placed me on my timeline here. With one finger touching your screen gently, you can slide back and forth on the timeline. If you want to zoom in and out on the timeline, you're going to take 2 fingers. So here I'm going to place 2 fingers on the screen wide apart from one another and gently slide them towards one another on the screen to be able to get. And then now I'm going to use one finger to slide back over. So now I get a bit more of a bird's eye view. So for example, you can see the photos are much smaller here on the timeline. So I'm going to just tap my finger on this video clip to select it. So notice how it highlights it yellow. So anytime you want to edit something on the timeline, a piece of media, you must tap it to select it yellow in order to make that edit. So again, I'm going to slide a little bit to the side here. Notice the black area just to the left. If you want to deselect, you can tap your finger on the black area to deselect. And notice the functions along the bottom will change depending on what you have selected. Okay, so now I want to make this first video clip a bit shorter, so I'm going to tap my finger on it to select it. And I'm using 2 fingers to slide over a little bit so I can get the bird's eye view. This video clip, you can see it's showing the length of the clip is 19.7 seconds. So I don't need that much of that clip. Maybe I'm going to go with like 6 seconds or so for this video. So I can tap my finger on that yellow edge on the beginning or on the end of the clip and just slide it to get to, there we go, I'll go about 6 point something seconds. So you can see I've made that video clip quite a bit smaller. I'm going to do the same one with this little daisy video clip. I'm going to tap my finger on it here. And this is a 31.9 second video. I don't need that much daisy video clip. In this case, I'm going to grab the edge on the right-hand side and I'm going to slide it down to maybe, again, somewhere around 6 point something seconds. Okay, now I'm going to tap on the black area just to the right to deselect. And now I'm going to use 2 fingers to slide in a little bit on the timeline so I can see it a little bit better. Okay. And if I tap on some of the other pieces of media, I'm going to zoom in a little bit more actually with 2 fingers. There we go. I'm going to tap that first picture. Notice the pictures are defaulting to 3 seconds in length. You can see it's very, very tiny, 3.0 seconds. So you can, same idea, if you grab the edge, I'm going to tap the edge on the right-hand side of that selected clip, you can scooch it longer to make that clip longer. But again, if it's like a photo slideshow, you probably don't want more than 3 seconds. If anything, you might even want to go maybe 2.5 seconds or 2 seconds for that photo so that you can keep people's interest. Because if you stay on one photo for too long, you kind of lose their attention. So having that change of photo helps keep their attention. So I will tap on each of these 3-second clips and I'm going to just change it to 2 seconds. Again, tapping on the next piece of media and grabbing the edge with my finger and gently sliding. And that was my video. I'm going to slide all the way over there and tap on that last picture And once again, I'm going to tap the edge, yellow edge with my finger and slide it down to about 2 seconds. Okay, now I'm going to tap my finger to the right there, and I can slide out again, or I'm using 2 fingers to scooch them together a little bit to look at the timeline. So the next thing I want to show you is how to crop a piece of media. As you might be sharing a photo that's a square photo, or maybe you took it in like the horizontal landscape position as opposed to the vertical portrait position. So most of the time we're sharing content or creating a video, it's going to be for a vertical format on mobile, for mobile, immersive mobile view. So you might, if you have a photo that's not the right size, you might want to tap on that photo to select it and slide along the bottom here. Notice there's a crop function. And if you slide your finger back and forth, it does give some options, but in general, you're probably not going to want to crop it shorter. You're probably going to want to take a square video or a landscape video, and you're going to want to make it taller. So you can also use those 2 fingers once again to zoom in or zoom out. Okay, so say I zoom in with 2 fingers, and now I'm happy with my zoom. I can take 1 finger and also position it. But do make sure that you don't have any black. So notice if I zoom in, notice there's like, you don't want to have black on the canvas, right? So notice the little kind of white edges there. You want to make sure that area is covered. You can see here as I'm zooming in, it kind of shows you where your canvas is, right? So, and you can see there's grid lines too. So if you're wanting to kind of position something, so wiggle 1 finger around, position where you like. There's also a rotate function in the bottom left. So if something's not in the right orientation, you can tap this little guy here, and that will switch it around until you get it in the position that you want. Okay, there's also a little slidey bar or rotate function. It lets you rotate back and forth a little bit to adjust your media if it's not where you want it to be. Okay, so once you're done making your changes, you can click the check mark in the middle right. Okay, now I also want to point out that there's an undo function in the middle right. Notice it's the little round guy with the arrow on the end. So if you ever make a mistake and you think, oh, that doesn't look good, I don't like what I did, you can undo. So tap undo 1 time for each mistake. It only kind of goes back so many changes, but it will let you undo some of the changes you made if you're not happy with them. The other thing you can do is adjust the order of the media. So if, say, for example, I want to move the flowers around in a different order, I'm going to zoom in a little bit on my timeline with my 2 fingers. I'm going to take my finger and tap and gently hold on the screen. Notice it's got the little wiggling, so I can tap and drag. So maybe I don't want to have 2 purple flowers next to one another. Maybe I want to go purple flower, pink flower, white flower, yellow flower. Okay, so what I did there was I released my finger from the screen. So again, tapping on one piece of media, gently holding the screen, and you can slide with your finger. And then when you've positioned it in the spot you're happy with, just release your finger, pull it off the screen, and voila, you have reordered. So you can absolutely, whoops, and in that case, I just made that piece of media smaller on accident, didn't want to do that. Let's click the undo function in the right. There we go, undo trim video, I did that on accident. So you can see here now I've got them in the order that I want to have on my timeline. Now, if you want to add additional pieces of media, if you're like, oops, I want to add 1 more picture to the project, you can hit the plus sign in the middle bottom there, and you can either go create content in the built-in camera. Again, I've covered that in detail in part 2 of this beginner guide. Or if you want to pull, say, another piece of media from your gallery, say I want to add a new picture there, click add, and voila, it's added a new picture to the mix. That one doesn't really fit in with my nature theme I've got going on here. So if you decide you want to delete anything, you can also, once again, select it, highlight it yellow, and you can see there is a delete function there in the bottom right. The other thing I want to point out to you, you may or may not use it, but you might tap on this on accident, so I do want to show you this feature. There is a sort of a transition function, so notice in between each piece of media, there's a little tiny square, white square, with a little black line in it. So you can tap on that, and you can see it showing the transitions, and you can scroll through here and take a look at the transitions. I find some of them a little bit nauseating, but it shows you what the transition looks like. So here we go. Here's a circle out. So if I tap on that, if I select a transition, I hit the check mark in the middle right. Notice the little white square now changed to a little yellow square. So it's showing that we used a transition here. So anytime you want to view your project that you're working on, notice there's a little play button in the middle left. So let's go ahead and play our project. And once I hit play, it's going to show the preview in the top there. And it'll show you what that circle wipe looks like. There we go, hit pause, okay? Now, I'm gonna slide back a little bit. I'm using one finger to slide back on the timeline. Again, if you don't want to transition, you can tap your finger on that little yellow square. I can slide all the way back up and I can click none. Okay, so if I've selected none, be sure to hit the check mark in the right on the middle to not. So the reason I point that out is because sometimes people are editing and it's tricky on a phone with your fingers, and sometimes you accidentally tap on that transition function and you don't intend to get there and you're wondering, what the heck did I touch? How am I here? That's how you get there. So if you end up there and you don't want to make a change, just leave it on none and click the check mark and it'll take you back out of that spot. So you can add transitions in between each piece of media. I would say especially the ones that are, I find a little nauseating, you know, it can be well used if you're wanting to catch someone's attention. So for example, let's see here. Let's add this one. Clock wipe, any of these really transitions are kind of fun. Here, I'll slide back here and I'll play so you can see what this looks like. So it does help catch people's attention. I'm going to hit pause again on the left here, but I don't think you necessarily need to have. I'm going to take that one off here. I'm going to click none, click the check mark. I think it can be also distracting if you do put a transition in between every single piece of media. I'll leave it to your judgment of what you like. So the next thing I want to show you is how to add a text block. You can add one or more text blocks, as many as you like. The reason you might want to add a text block is to, you know, especially at the beginning of your video project, is to tell people, what is this video about? So if I share this video of these lovely nature shots on my profile, I mean, they're nice, but like, what are they from? Are they from a nature walk I took in my neighborhood? Are they from my recent trip somewhere that I went, up island, Vancouver Island? So help tell the story to people. What is it that they're looking at? Add a little context. So I'm just going to hit text in the bottom left. So the big A, little a, and we're going to add a text block. Again, keeping it simple here. Hello, friends. Happy summer. And I'm going to add a little emoji in here. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to click done in the top right hand corner. So now you can see it's added another layer on the timeline of with the text block. You can also, with one finger in the top in the preview, move it around. I want to go back into, because see how it's a little bit hard to read? And also I want to show you that you can also go into the full vertical preview of your video project as you're editing. So in the middle, there's a little drop down arrow. I'm going to tap my finger on that, and that shows this whole vertical preview. And notice there's a play button in the bottom left. So if you want to hit play and view your project, see how it's looking, I'm going to hit pause again on the bottom left. So as I go back here, notice it's actually not too bad, but it's a little bit hard to read that text block because there's a bit of sort of light and dark in the background. So there's some more options. So I'm going to hit edit in the bottom middle, and I'm going to go back into that function. Next, I'm going to tap on the item I want to edit, which is my text block. I want to select it. And once again, notice when you click on something to select it, it highlights it yellow, and you can see the functions available for editing will appear on the bottom for that particular element. So I'm going to click on the edit function here, and here we're back to the editing. So I want to show you a bunch of these functions in the text block because you've got lots of choice about the style of your text block. So let's tap on the big A, little a in the middle left. And you can see there's a bunch of choices for fonts in here. So you can tap on any of these choices and see the different options for font. Okay, so you can slide your finger up and down here. You can see they've got quite a few choices for font in here. So for your brand, you might pick one or two fonts and stick with using those ones over and over again for consistency. And now that I'm going to choose this font for the moment, Poster. The next thing I want to show you is how to add a background to the font. So in the right, notice there's an A with a little sort of square around it there. I'm going to tap on that a few times. Notice as I'm tapping, it's changing the background of the text. So here is no background on the text. I tap it one more time. Now it's added a dark outline with the light font. I tap it one more time. It reverses it. It's giving me a darker font with a light outline. I tap it one more time, dark background, and one more time, light background. When you're looking at your video, it really helps make the text pop and helps make it easier to read. So if you're in a situation where you've added a text overlay and it's hard to read, you might want to add this background to make it pop a little bit. You can also change the color. Notice on the left in the middle, you can see a little color wheel. Tap on that color wheel and now it lets you change the color. So if you tap on any of the colors up above, what if I tap on blue? I want to maybe get toward eyeball it and get toward my blue brand color. So notice the little slidey bars on the bottom. I'm going to adjust by just sliding back and forth. There we go. That's a little closer to my blue brand color. I can also use the slidey bar on the bottom, somewhere in that neighborhood. See, if you slide it in one direction or the other, like if you make the color darker, lighter or darker, you can see it switches the text color just to make sure you can still read it. I might go somewhere around there. The other thing you might want to do is adjust the words on, or the number of lines in your text block. So in the top in the left, notice there's a little white dot. I can use this slidey bar here to decide how many lines I want. So I could, I don't know if I'd want to put this text block in one line because that makes it really small, which can be really hard to read. So I might put this in 2 lines and I might want to have, there we go, hello friends, happy summer. There we go, that looks good. Okay, so I've got my text block. I've made my color. Let's show you a few of the animations, which are kind of fun here. So just to the right, in the middle of the screen, just to the right of the color wheel, there are some animations. So let's tap on a few, and in the top, it will show you the preview of what the animations will look like. So this one's typewriter. There is pop, jump. So these are fun if you put an intro, like they would call it like a hook or an intro in the very beginning of your video to tell people what is this video about. And adding this little animation helps really catch attention here. So you can play with these. If you like one of these, you can use it. Some of them, again, I find a little nauseating. If you don't want to use an animation, just slide all the way up again, and in the middle left it says none. You can click on none. One last thing here, just to the right of the animation function, there's another little option that enhances the text overlay. Again, be careful with these because you want to make sure folks can still read your text overlay, but you can, again, tap and play with any of these. That added a little shadow to my text block. That's kind of fun. That actually made it easier to read, didn't it? So let's tap on there. You can look at, there's a block offset. So you can play with these functions. One that I really like that I use a lot in here is the, where is it? It's a sparkle. I love the sparkle function. So sparkle's really fun, but again, if you don't want to use any of these enhancements, you can simply slide back up and tap none, okay? We also have in the far right, in the middle of the text block options, a justification, like left justification, right, or center. And again, I'm just tapping my finger on it to make that change. But yeah, once you're happy with your text block, you can click done in the top right-hand corner. You can still reposition it. So again, if I go with one finger on the top preview, I can slide to reposition. I can use one finger to move it around. I can use 2 fingers to zoom in or out. If I want to go back up to that full preview, I can tap in the very middle on that little drop down, and I can get a better sense. Again, you don't want to make the text too big. By the way, you've got to just tap your finger on it to highlight it, and you'll see the yellow block there. So we don't want to make the text too big, right? But we do want to make it readable. So there we go. We've got readable text. I'm using 2 fingers to adjust the size. Then I use 1 finger to slide it back and forth. Notice the guideline here. Notice edits is showing us the guideline. Don't go higher than that. And don't go too far down either. You want to make sure that you're staying in the safe zone where people are going to be able to read your text. Because at the bottom, you're going to have functions on Instagram, and the right-hand side, you're going to have the like, share, that, so all those comment, those sort of functions. So keep your text block in the safe zone where people are going to be able to read it. And if I slide back and forth, there we go, I'll position it right about there. Okay, so I can see where my text block is. It looks good. I'm going to go back into the edit function now. I'm going to click edit. If I tap to select that text block, notice that text block is only, let's see, about 3 seconds long. So if I wanted that text block to last longer, I can tap on the edge on the yellow part and I can slide it. Maybe I even want to have that welcome. Notice how I slid this to the right and it kind of snaps into place. See the yellow dotted line? It's snapping into place on that piece of media. So this way it could play and then that text block disappears once we go to the photo slideshow. So again, you can add, I'm going to tap on the black area to the left to deselect that. You can add as many text blocks as you want to help give context, help tell your story. And yeah, so that is the text block function. Next, I want to show you the voiceover function. It's so good, it's so simple, easy to use, and this is a great way to get started if you're not ready to speak on camera or you're not, camera ready on a certain day, but you want to create content. You can use your media like we've done here using your photos, but you can use your voice, and that will still help people get to know, like, and trust you by having you speak and tell your own story or speak your own words. So what we'll do next is, see that white line here? We're going to position, I'm sliding my finger back and forth. In this case, we'll just have the white line at the very beginning. We're going to begin our voiceover at the start of this video. I'm going to tap the microphone. Be sure you don't have anything selected, because remember, if you tap on a piece of media, the functions at the bottom change. So be sure you've clicked on the black area to the left. You have everything deselected so that you can access this voice function. I'm going to tap voice. Now you see the little record function appear. So that little red button at the bottom is the record. When you're ready to start speaking, tap the record function. Hi, hello, I'm Julie Selby with Sandy Social Marketing Training, and welcome to this demonstration of the Instagram Edits voiceover function. Very handy for creating video content for your small business. Thanks for watching. Then I'm going to tap my finger again on the little red circle. And now I have created my voiceover. I'm going to click the check mark right here in the bottom, and I'm going to slide back. So notice it has added a new piece on the timeline that says voiceover. So if you want to listen and play your voiceover clip, you can hit the play button and listen. Hi, hello, I'm Julie Selby with Sandy Social Marketing Training, and welcome to this. I'm going to hit pause here. So you can see I had made a bit of a false start there. I said hi, hello. I think my hello starts right there. Hello, I'm Julie Selby. There we go. So if I zoom in here, I might want to crop this clip so it starts right there. That's where my hello is. So if I position my white line there and I hit play, I can double check that. Hello, I'm Julie Selby. Yep, that's where my hello begins. So again, position your white line there, tap on the voiceover to select it. I want to basically chop out that whole section, so I could do one of two things. I could tap my finger on the edge and drag it to get rid of it, or I can position it where I want. Then I can hit the split function in the bottom left. Okay, and then now you can see it split my voiceover into two pieces. So let's hit play just to double check that I have that hello at the beginning of the second clip that I want to keep. Hello, I'm Julie, which I do. I hit pause again. I'm going to slide my finger back to the beginning. I'm going to tap on that piece of voiceover that I don't want to use, and I'm going to hit the garbage can or delete in the bottom right hand corner. Now, I want to slide that voiceover back. I'm going to use two fingers to zoom out on the timeline a little bit. I'm going to tap one finger to select the voiceover clip. I want to scooch that all the way back to the beginning of my project. Okay, so I'm going to use one finger. I'm going to gently tap and hard hold on that voiceover, and I'm going to slide it all the way to the beginning. And now the voiceover will start at the beginning, so I can hit play and I can watch. Hello, I'm Julie Selby with Sandy Social Marketing Training, and welcome to this. I'm going to hit pause again here. So There are so many more features that I can show you with the Instagram Edits app, and I may do subsequent videos to show you more of the functions here. There's an overlay function here you can see in the bottom middle that lets you insert either a picture or a video into your video project. So that overlay function comes in really handy if you are telling a story, for example. So if I wanted to tell you a story of my adorable doggy, I could insert a photo of my adorable doggy, and that helps to bring my story to life, helps make it more engaging for the audience. So the overlay function is really handy. There's a captions function here you can see in the bottom middle. So I could add automated captions to match either the content from video content you've uploaded or any voiceover you've created. So that's fun to add automated captions. So there's so much more that you can do in here. Maybe I will show you one more thing before we wrap up this part 3 in the beginner series, because I don't want to totally overwhelm you. I'm going to zoom in a little bit and slide over. I'm going to tap the first photo here in the photo slideshow. So again, notice I've selected that photo, so it shows the options that are available for editing the photo below. Okay, so I'm going to direct you to the effects function. I'm going to tap in effects. So they do have some fun options in here. Zoom in is probably one of my favorites, but again, some of these are a little bit nauseating. Super shake, flicker. I find, again, some of the blur, I don't love the blur function. So some of these I do find not nauseating, but play with them, see what you like. I like the, I'm gonna scroll back up here. Zoom is my favorite. That's voiceover function. So notice you can see it showing the effect up top. So if I click none, it'll go back to none. If I click zoom function, it shows you how it zooms in on that photo. So it does, again, add movement. So if you find that your photo, or you're doing videos with a lot of photos, and the photo after photo after photo, this would add some more motion to the photo. So again, if I click, I've got it on zoom, I click the check mark on the right. Let's slide back on the timeline a little bit. Let's hit play. Actually, matter of fact, I'm going to tap on the voiceover here. I'm going to slide to the left. Notice there's a mute function. So if you want to mute your voiceover as a temporary measure while you're editing, in this case, I don't want it to have sound while I'm showing you this, but I'm going to slide back to our edit here, and I'm going to hit play. Notice it's zooming in on that piece of media where the other pieces of media are not zooming in. So again, if you change your mind and you don't want that zoom function, you can tap on that piece of media again, slide over, click on effects, and click none, and check mark in the right. That's all I'm going to show you for the features in the editing function here, because I think that gives you some good basics in order to edit your projects. So next, I want to show you how to actually export the project. So let's say you've already edited this project, you're happy with it. Keep in mind, I have not added music. I do not recommend adding commercial music if you're going to export this project to your phone. And you want to share it to other channels, because again, it will strip out any of the sound that you have on your project, even if it's you speaking on your own videos, due to the commercial rights issues. So I did cover that more in part 2 of this beginner guide. So go back and watch the end of that video if you want to learn more about that. But if you are sharing this project directly to Instagram or Facebook, yes, you could add audio. You can see there's an audio function in the bottom left. And if you're familiar with Instagram, if you've used Instagram, then this should look really familiar to you. You've got your various tabs in here, your saved audio. These are sounds I've saved within Instagram, because of course this is connected to your Instagram account. There's trending, the original audios. You've even got a tab for royalty free now, which is handy, which is of course the music business is allowed to use. And there's also an import function in the top right. So if you have downloaded songs from, YouTube audio library or whatever royalty free music site you use, then you could import projects in here. But again, keep in mind, if you're planning to download the audio or the video file to edit elsewhere, then it will limit you, and it will mess with what you can download in terms of cropping out your audio or muting your audio. So again, do not add music if you're planning to export this project and edit it elsewhere. So let's say we have played with this project and we're happy with how it looks. You also remember you can tap in the middle if you want to go to the full preview. We've got our play button. I can hit play here. I can view this project in its entirety. Now, currently I had muted my voiceover. Maybe I'll go back and I'll Let's go back to the beginning here. I'm going to tap the voiceover. I'm going to tap the unmute function in the left, and I'm going to go back to the full preview. So let's watch the video in its entirety with the voiceover option. Hit play in the bottom left. I'm Julie Selby with Sandy Social Marketing Training, and welcome to this demonstration of the Instagram Edits voiceover function. Very handy for creating video content for your small business. Thanks for watching. Then I'm going to tap. There we go. I could have edited that last piece off there as well because I was talking about hitting the stop button there. So let's hit edit again in the bottom and go back up here. So we've reviewed our project. It looks good. We've finished the editing that we want to do in here. Then we can export. Export function is in the top right-hand corner. And this will just take a second for it to do its thing. As you can see, it says keep this open. Don't close out of this app or don't lock the screen. You've got to let it do its export. And voila, you can see it's exported the project, ready to go now. You do have to decide if you want to download the content to your phone or to share it. So to download the content to your phone, you see the little download arrow icon here, and it says download at the bottom. Tap that. And voila, it has now downloaded a copy of your video project to your phone, to your camera roll or photo roll on your phone. If you wanted to share it directly to Instagram from here, for example, you can click on the Instagram function and it will go ahead and open up in your Instagram app. And you can see there you've got your usual functions. You can edit the cover, you can add your caption, add location, whatever else you want to do here before you hit share. And it does have that benefit if you hit share from here that it will say created in the Instagram Edits app. So I don't know if it gives any boost in the algorithm for editing from this function and sharing to your Instagram, but you could certainly look at your analytics and see. You also could potentially save it as a draft here in the left-hand side if you still want to do, if you want to write the caption later, etc. So I'm going to hit cancel out of there. I'm going to continue without saving. And it's taken me right out of the Edits app there. I'm going to scroll up there and go right back into the app. So you can see that it automatically saves your project as you go along. So I'm going to hit the X in the top left-hand corner there. And there's not really a save function per se, but I am going to click X in the top left and close out of that project. And you can see it automatically saved my project. So I didn't have to save. It saves your project as you go along. And you can see it's now in your projects gallery there. So the next time you want to go back, if you want to make any changes to that project, you can tap on that project and it will open you back up in your edit function. And there it is. So you can still make any edits. If I'm going to hit the X and close out of that project again, if you decide you want to cancel out of that project or you want to delete one of these projects, just tap your finger and gently hard hold on the screen and you can see you can rename the project, delete the project, or duplicate the project. So duplicate can come in handy too if you want to edit a project. Maybe you want to do a rough edit where you do some basic editing, but maybe you want to mess with it, like do some, interesting transitions or, play with it, but you want to keep that original edit so that in case you don't like what you change, then you could do a duplicate. Okay, so you can see it's literally just duplicated the project. So I still have that original one, but I could go into the duplicate now and I could go ahead and mess with the project just in case then if I didn't like the changes that I made and I closed out of here, I still would have that original project there. But if I want to delete it, say I decided I hated the changes I made, I can tap and hold and click delete, and that will delete that project in here. I'm Julie Selby, and thank you for watching part 3 of my beginner guide to Instagram's Edits app. In this video, I showed you how to use the actual editing function of the Edits app. I hope you found it helpful. Thank you so much for watching.